Barbara Cochran with my co-host,
Dr. Jean Dorio.
on your hometown station, KHTS. This is a show for, about, and by seniors, giving information to enhance one's quality of life. And speaking of quality of life, our studio guest this morning is Dr. Mayo Kalani, who is a palliative care doctor. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning.
Welcome.
Nice to see you again.
Oh, it's so great to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Let's start off with you telling us what palliative care is.
Palliative care is a medical specialty that truly focuses on quality of life of patients who are dealing with serious or chronic illnesses. And let's be honest, we are living longer. We're
That's
living
right.
as best as we can, but we're also accumulating a lot more illnesses.
That's right.
And so we need to provide our patients some extra TLC when they're dealing with serious illnesses. And that's what palliative care really focuses on. And it's a multidisciplinary approach to care. So it's not just a doctor, but it's a doctor, nurse, social worker, chaplain, therapists, everyone really trying to accomplish the goal of improving the quality of care for that particular person and their family.
But I call it reality care because
No kidding.
as we get older, we get sick.
Yeah.
And when we get sick, you're going to get hit sometimes with things that are difficult to get you back to normal health. And usually in this day and age, we are able to do that. But there are just some times where you're just sicker for a longer period of
Yes.
time. And unfortunately, there are some times where you're sick and you're not going to get better. And that reality has to be held up into the eyes of the patient, the family members, the caregivers, the doctors, all of them, to make sure they understand that concept. So in the past, everybody would think we're going to get you better. That's all there is to it. And,
Yeah.
We're living longer to a certain degree, but, we have to have quality of life.
Absolutely.
And if you don't have quality of life and you're living longer, what good does that do you?
And I love that term, reality care, because it truly it needs to not just be directed towards the patient, but also the care providers.
Mm-hmm.
The physicians, the staff who are involved in caring for that patient. Because we don't want to give people false hope.
Mm-hmm.
We want them to be right up to speed with our own purviews of what is going on with the patients.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to provide them the best care possible.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're not being realistic with the care we're providing and the treatments we're offering, then that's kind of a disservice.
Yes, it is. And Jean, before you got here, I was telling Mawa that palliative care also extends into family pets,
Oh, absolutely.
because we just had to put one of our kitties down
Oh.
because she had kidney
Yeah.
disease, liver disease, and pancreatitis.
Oh,
And we took her in because she was in pain. She let us know she was in pain by meow,
right.
So we took her to the vet, and they wanted to keep her there to run a whole bunch of tests. And that was a week ago Sunday. We took her there, and he called us periodically, let us know what was going on, and that they had put a tube in her neck to feed her, and we could come and get her and bring her home and we would feed her and give her all of her medicine through this tube. So we brought her home on the Wednesday, and I couldn't do it because I couldn't catch her. And when I'd catch her, she was so out of control, neither one of us could keep her down to feed her. So I called the vet that night, and he said, go ahead and bring her back in, that they would take care of her.
Oh.
And they did take care of her. They bathed her, they gave her medication, they picked her up and loved her. And then the doctor called and said, we need to talk. Can you come in? And so we both went in last Thursday, and he was telling us she's 15 years old. She has very bad kidney disease, and she's in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
You know, you need to make a decision, which is what we had to do. Rather than bring her home and have her be in pain, it wasn't worth it to us. So we
Wow.
made the decision for him to give her those 2 shots, and she went peacefully.
She did.
Yeah,
Aw.
and we were there, and I did a lot of crying up until Sunday and Monday, but we still really miss her. And Ginger, her sister,
Yeah.
doesn't know what to do with herself.
Yeah.
She's walking around, she'll get at the end of the hall and go, meow, meow, which is an unusual yowl for her.
Right.
But yeah, she does. She misses her. And of course, Russ misses her most of all
Of
because
course.
Spice went to Russ, always went to Russ.
Yeah.
And Ginger always comes to me, you know. So
Oh.
it's been very, but the same thing applies,
It applies.
to animals as well as people.
Absolutely.
Palliative care, and it's so
Absolutely.
important for everyone involved.
And we treat our our pets well.
Yeah.
And now I think we have been able to extend it to a high degree to our patients and the human species. So we're getting there, and
I
you know,
think
once
we are.
we had open discussion about life, quality of life, end of life, and calling it reality care or palliative care. You know, I think we have done, as a medical community, a lot better for our patients.
Yeah, I was just reflecting just now about, I can't remember how long ago it was that I first came on this show. Could have been like 4 years ago,
4 years,
maybe.
3 or 4
yeah.
years ago, yeah.
It's been a
And
while.
it's come a long way. And I'm hearing the quality of life term being used by almost every person.
Finally.
It's beautiful.
Only a select number of us in geriatrics would keep everything in front of us and say quality of life, how important it is. And if you're going to sustain yourself, you want to have quality of life. But now that has
Right.
come to the forefront.
Yes.
And I think that because it has awareness and understanding and agreeing that, you know, medicine in 2018, you know, we've come a long way. But, you know, in 2218, we're going to be 200 years from now, we're going to be way out there. We're just not there now. And because we're not, you know, you have to face that certain situations where you're not going to have, you know, complete healing. And, you know, life is finite.
Right.
And, you know, we discuss that with our patients. And, you know, I will tell you, so many of our seniors, they get to a point in life and they're saying, I've lived a great life. I'm hearing
Yes.
that more and more
Me too.
from my patients because they're understanding that, you know, they're coming to the end of life and they want to look back and they want to be able to say, you know, this was
pretty
has been-"
good.
And you look at, you know, the Honorable John McCain
Yes.
and how
Yes.
he looked at life.
Oh my gosh.
And at end of life, you know, he was saying how wonderful it was. And,
Yes.
you know, he was facing his illness as the trooper he is, and realized and looked and reflected and said, I've had my ups and downs, but what a great life I have had. And I look at my patients and I see and understand the accomplishments that they have made in life. And I just think so many, I mean, I can't think of any that haven't done something that is worthy, that makes them proud.
Yes,
And I think
yes.
that when they have that to hold on to, end of life is easier.
Yes. Absolutely.
And, you know, it's interesting because some people will say, oh, he or she didn't do anything. You know,
I don't agree.
what do they have to think about? But when you really stop and think about it, being alive and nurturing family members
Yes.
and having children, that's an immense accomplishment. And as you get older, you become a mother and a grandmother, and many become great-grandmothers. And look what they have accomplished,
Right.
because it goes on down the line.
Or even the impact that we have on our friends and our distant relatives. I mean, it is truly impactful. There was a neighbor of mine, and actually it kind of helped me choose my pathway in medicine. We had these neighbors that were like my surrogate grandparents. They did not have grandchildren of their own, and I was their considered their first grandchild. And Phyllis and Bernie, God bless them, were my grandparents, and they left a tremendous impact to the point where I really considered them my grandparents, even though I still had living grandparents, but they just lived overseas. And we weren't related. We weren't of the same religion. You know, we really had nothing but this special bond.
Yes, and that is so very important.
Isn't that beautiful?
It really is.
I love them
important.
so much.
Yes.
But it's important that, you know, there are seniors who are listening right now who are hearing what we're saying and searching their mind and thinking to themselves, I haven't accomplished much. But I will tell you, if you stood in this studio, anyone out there who's listening, I will, after 5, not more than 10 minutes, I will be able to pull out all the accomplishments one has made and given to society and family and community that has enhanced others around them. So I'm not worried that there's going to be people out there that says, oh, I'm done and I didn't give to anybody. That's just not true. Everybody has in some way, and for those who are listening who have loved ones who are moving toward the end of life, try to get that understanding of where they have come from, what they have done, so that you can talk about those issues and allow them as they move into palliative care and end of life to say, yeah, I really have done something. With that sense and that feeling that those have, as with John McCain, he felt accomplished. And certainly he didn't have to think too hard about it, but I think that's the same with everybody. You know, it is wonderful how everybody networks and interacts and has helped each other. And certainly, for those who are listening thinking that I haven't given to anyone, that's not going to be true. You have. You just have to find that, and those around you, I hope, will enhance it.
Absolutely.
Well, it's as simple as having neighbors, speaking with neighbors. You're giving something to them, and they in turn are giving something to you, and that's an accomplishment. You've made friends, maybe short term, maybe long term, but you have contributed to each other. You really have. I mean, just a simple hello.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, it means
it's building community and
absolutely, it is. No matter where you go, a simple hello sometimes will make a person's day.
As we sit and we talk about our seniors and their lives and what they've accomplished, I think it's important for us to move ahead now and talk not so much about the medical side of what we can do to enhance and help people, but just the psychological understanding as we move through life toward end of life, how we can feel better about where we are going so that we can make better decisions.
Right.
And when we come back, let's talk about those issues that lead us from palliative care and define better now what hospice care is, and separate that even from end-of-life care if we can do that. So we're talking to Dr. Kalani from Holy Cross Hospital about palliative care on your hometown station, AM-1220 KHTS.
Daily Imprints is the premier one-stop shop for custom embroidery, screen printing, and promotional products in the Santa Clarita Valley. Owners Joe and Dana have provided KHTS with quality embroidered company shirts for over 3 years. If it's new business cards or promotional products you need to enhance your image, Daily Imprints is the choice for you. located on Lyons Avenue. Stop by or call today, 661-678-0508.
Hey, this is Ellen Kay, and did you know Exer More Than Urgent Care is open daily in Stevenson Ranch? Exer is the ER alternative that's built and staffed by ER doctors. With on-site lab, x-ray, and pharmacy, Exer has more medical services than a typical clinic. Walk in and be seen in minutes. Open 7 days a week from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. For more information, just go to exerurgentcare.com. That's EXER urgentcare.com.
There's a classic diner in town that combines old-fashioned dining with a hip 21st century menu. They call it trendy nostalgia. They call it Kathy's Deli. Kathy's Deli is a classic diner. Homemade jams, freshly baked breads, and even unique flavored coffee creamers made on site. Experience the fresh, new, yet old-fashioned taste of your local hometown diner. Serving traditional and unique breakfast and lunch delights every day from 7 to 3. Kathy's Deli on Lyons Avenue off Wayman Court.
At Advanced Audiology, we know how important hearing is to you, your loved ones, your work success, your safety, and your ability to stay in the game. Most people won't admit hearing loss to themselves or others. We make it easy for you. Today's digital hearing aids come in a variety of styles, including invisible. All feature-rich, providing unparalleled hearing quality, wearing comfort, and automation that simplifies your life. Don't be fooled by our imitators. There's only one Advanced Audiology with the purple sign, next to AAA on Valencia Boulevard.
Santa Clarita's hometown station.
Now FM, 98.1 FM and AM-1220, your hometown station.
Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64?
Welcome back to the Senior Hour. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, KHTS. And our guest this morning is Dr. Mawa Kalani, who is a palliative care doctor. And what I would like to do is associate the palliative care with hospice. Mm-hmm. And also, let's talk a little bit about Senator John McCain, who just passed away, and can we relate that?
Yeah. Actually, that's a great example because, he's such a notable figure, regardless of what your politics are. He is somebody who was living through a pretty tremendous illness. And I'm hoping, I haven't really delved into this, but I'm hoping he received palliative care all throughout his treatments. Now, palliative care can coincide with active, aggressive treatments. Because remember, we're just focusing on the quality of life and helping to augment that in any way possible. But at the point last week when the family had announced that he was no longer pursuing aggressive treatments, that's the point where palliative care would then transition into hospice care. So if you really consider hospice care as more of the end-of-life care option, that is the point, it appeared to me, where hospice care would be appropriate for Senator McCain. So one of the things that I want the listeners to understand about hospice care is hospice is a Medicare benefit. It is about treating patients at the end of life or within the last 6 months of life when they are truly diagnosed with a terminal illness. And they must be certified by 2 physicians to have this terminal illness and qualify for this benefit. Now, it becomes a tricky subject in certain cases because there are patients who may exhibit a really kind of a failure to thrive condition rather than exhibit a true terminal illness such as end-stage heart failure or lung disease or dementia. Maybe they've just given up wanting to live. And oftentimes what I see is when we've certified that our patients who have a failure to thrive condition and they go on to hospice, they actually turn around and start thriving again. They actually eat better, start feeling better, and start participating in life because the pressure's off. And those are the patients that we oftentimes see, they graduate from hospice and continue to live and continue to do well. So it's with great caution that we need to put our patients onto hospice care. The appropriate patients need to be really niched into that option.
And that's where I sometimes have a problem in all my almost 40 years of practicing and having been a gerontologist and continually doing that. I have patients that go on hospice, but I have never had a patient on hospice longer than a week. Not one patient has been on hospice for longer than a week. Not that I know when to put them on hospice, but I sometimes see patients being put on maybe too prematurely, and that's a disservice to the family, the caregivers, the patient when that happens. And unfortunately, it's something we have to talk about when we talk about two doctors certifying that the patient should be on hospice. I see sometimes doctors certifying because they have secondary interest or secondary gains because of the organization they're with, and that does happen. So you do have to worry about those occurrences that are happening in our society right now, because when you go on hospice, then the hospital, the insurance companies, Medicare, they wash their hands of the financial interest that they have in you and place it into another financial group called hospice that then takes care of you. And that, when there's finances dangling in front of everybody and the doctors and those organizations, they might have a tendency to put someone on hospice too soon. So you just have to be aware, and you have to trust your doctors and that organization to be doing well. The bad part is I've just seen, right in front of me, and I was a physician who screened patients to be on hospice. There was one hospice company who serviced Santa Clarita, and they would ask me to go out because they were worried about this and certify like the third doctor to decide whether the patient should actually be on hospice or not. And most of the time it was fine, but there were some occasions that I came across and it was not fine, and it was fraud.
Absolutely.
And
those companies can get in trouble.
Yeah, they can get in trouble. But this agency that I work with, they knew that certain people and certain groups were doing certain things, and they wanted it stopped. And whether it's stopped or not, I don't think so. It continues to happen. So, we have to be careful because there's finances out there. There's ways people want to do things that, are not legitimate. And we have to protect our patients and our community. So that's the bad side of it. 99% of palliative and hospice care is appropriate. It's fine, but there's just that small part that can be detrimental to our patients and lead patients and families, sadly in the wrong direction.
Absolutely.
Well, it's interesting. My sister-in-law we finally had to put her on hospice care.
Right.
And I stayed with her for many hours at a time while hospice was still there. And they were absolutely amazing how well they took care of her.
I know.
I was just astounded because she said she had given up. There was no help for her. She had kidney problems, kidney failure, which as a result of a lot of drinking in her past.
Yes.
And her husband had passed away, my husband's brother, and she finally said, no more. I want to go be with Heil.
Yeah.
I don't want this anymore. And then they honored her.
Yes.
They honored her wishes,
Yeah.
which really surprised me in a way. because I thought, well, she's going to go sooner or later, but she wants to go sooner. And she made that decision, and they honored that decision. She stopped all. She didn't want any more feeding tubes, nothing.
Yeah.
No antibiotics, no nothing. She said, take it out. I want to
Yeah.
be with Heil.
And
Yeah.
they think
She wanted to be with her husband.
people sometimes think that, that means I'm going to suffer. If I'm not feeding, if I'm not nourished, I'm
Not at
dehydrated,
all.
malnourished, and
Yeah.
it just doesn't, once you've gone to that decision, it isn't that you're suffering. On hospice care, we make sure that people do not suffer. And that's the whole goal of this, is that, we're humane. With Spice, your cat, we're humane. For our
That's right.
animals, we're going to
Right.
be humane for those around us as well.
I just had a patient yesterday who was very clear, had pretty advanced lung and heart disease, and was just waiting for his family to make it in perfectly clear. And he said, okay, now that his family was here, I'm ready to go. And sure enough, he did. He passed beautifully, peacefully. And I feel grateful to have been part of that experience. But it's really also about honoring them
That's true.
in their journey. And it's amazing to me how you know your body when you're that
People
clear.
do.
And
That's right.
they know exactly when it's their time.
And that's exactly the way John McCain felt.
Yes.
He knew there was no getting better.
I don't
And
think
I
he
think-
could have done this any better.
No,
Honestly,
I don't.
he exhibited the signs of a perfect death.
Yes,
A
he did.
he
did it
orchestrated this so beautifully.
He did it his own way.
Absolutely.
And I have
Wow.
to admire him for that, because that takes a lot of inner fortitude to do something like that, especially when you have so many loved ones around you who really don't want you to go.
Oh, yes.
But they realize, okay, this has to happen. But no, not now. That kind of thing. And that's what I'm sure most of his family were thinking,
What a
especially
beautiful
Megan.
family.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
But he wasn't going to give up the fight.
No.
No.
He fought. He
sure did.
he I'm sure got a great treatment plan from the institutes in Arizona. But Joe Biden's son, had the same tumor and as well passed away from it. Whereas Jimmy Carter, our former president, he was ill too with a cancer that was a terminal cancer, and he survived, and he's back and hammering and putting homes together for
Absolutely. That
for many of the
man's remarkable.
organizations. And I think he's at least 90 now, but I saw him on television last night. But it's sometimes it doesn't have anything to do with even sometimes your faith. It doesn't have anything to do with flipping a coin and luck. It's all related to the technology that might be there that could be helpful. And he touched. Jimmy Carter was allowed to touch on something that the disease could be helped. So, and he has now survived and he's cured. So sometimes it is, yes, the luck of the draw that allows one to keep going. But, that's the battles that we have to face and decisions that come in front of us, and we have to try our best to make the best decisions. But,
right.
in living life, when you look at it and say, where have I come and what have I done? This is the outstanding part of it, because I know with my patients here in Santa Clarita, every single one of them have contributed in some way, and every single one of them will get to end of life and be able to say, well done, and
So beautiful.
and still have their quality of life, their physical and mental quality of life at the end through hospice. So our attitudes and how we have done things in medicine has changed for the better, and we're doing well. We have to be mindful of those that might take advantage, but for the most part, you're going to have people who will, move you forward in life, so that at the end you will be and feel, as well as John McCain did, to live the life that he lived and be able to still say that.
That's right.
Such a beautiful.
Yeah, a tremendous man too, and he did so many things and accomplished so much. He must have had a very good feeling about everything he did.
But he also said, didn't he look back and say, I've made mistakes as well?
Absolutely.
Yes.
And who
Yes.
hasn't? How do you learn about life if you don't make mistakes?
That's
Absolutely.
right.
So
That's living.
he
That's
said,
part of
this
living life.
is where I have been, and I'm proud of where I've gone and what I've done, but I'm also made the mistakes of life that people do make, and I accept those mistakes. But that allowed him to be well-rounded in his whole thought process, and that's why he was the way he was. And we honor him today in Phoenix, and honor him. We will the end of the week in Washington D.C. We put our flags at half-staff in that honor. And when somebody has been so accomplished for our nation in a war that was not favored by some in this country, and he understood that. And I think that John Kerry, who also fought in that same war, they were on the opposite poles. But when it came to coming together about looking at Vietnam as a place, a country, a people who they were there feeling and doing what they felt was the right thing, they came together and agreed that now we have to open Vietnam up and allow their peoples to survive as well. And they did that. So these mature, honest politicians accomplished this. And, I'm very proud when I see gentlemen like them, and there's so many women as well who accomplish things, and we can hold up and say, this is the honorable way life should be led, and make sure that, our children are seeing that as well, that this is when at the end of life you're okay with that.
Right.
And
And I think one of the things that we all can do more of is talk to our youth more. Talk to the youth that are in your families about the significance of these individuals. I don't think my 10-year-old twin boys know what the flag at half-staff means. No. And so I explained that to them. When I saw it in our neighborhood, we have a neighborhood where there's a flagpole, and the flag is raised every day. And it was at half-staff, and I explained it to them as to who we're honoring and what was his significance, and they had no idea. And they had heard of Senator McCain, but they needed to know, why are we honoring this person? What is what's so significant about him? And then we kind of got into the talking about his end of life care, and that's okay. I think one of the things that we do as mature adults is try to protect our children from death. But it's okay to welcome them into that, because they will be okay with it when they are taking care of us one day.
That's right. That's very true.
And so that is one thing I appreciated from my grandparents, is that they welcomed me into that space when it was their time, as they matured in age.
Was that Phyllis and Bernie?
Phyllis and Bernie, absolutely.
Great.
They were very special to me.
Well, one thing in admiring John McCain, he said he was a goof off, and and he played pranks. And when he was at the Naval Academy, he said in his class he finished 5th from the bottom, and he liked to say that, because it really does say you don't have to be number one. No. You don't, even if you're down at the lower end. Look at all the things that, he was able to accomplish being 5th from the bottom. So if you feel like you're 5th from the bottom, don't give up. life will be good for you and allow you to move forward. There's always that opportunity. To learn and become a better person. And
that's right. And you say he was fifth from the bottom. He wasn't the bottom, was he?
Yeah, there you go.
And that's very significant. It really is. And it's interesting. I've talked to so many of my friends, and they're scared to death to die. Absolutely scared to death. I don't want to die. I'm fine with it.
Have you ever explored that with them?
Yeah, you should.
Yes.
Or have them listen to the show.
Yes, but they still, no, I don't want to die. No, I'm scared to death. And I say, why?
Yes.
Why are you scared to die? Well, I just want to keep doing more. I just want to keep going. But then when you
keep
stop
doing
and
it.
think, that's right. Keep doing it.
Yeah.
But when your end of life comes, you think about what you've accomplished.
Yeah.
The good things.
There's this great cartoon, and it's Charlie Brown and Snoopy sitting on a pier overlooking a lake. And Charlie Brown looks to Snoopy and he says, we're all going to die. And Snoopy says, yes, but we're still living today.
That's right.
And that's what we need to start focusing on.
That's right. That's right. Don't be morbid.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm not a morbid person anyway. My cup is always half full. And getting fuller and fuller. And when I die, it will be full. That's the way I think about it. But so many people their cup is always half empty, negative, and I'm thinking, how can you possibly survive?
They got to find meaning.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. It really is. But that's the way some people think. And I think,
and I just don't think that we do die. I think that, the lessons, the traditions, that we have taught the people around us, that lives on.
Yeah.
And we don't die. We spread it forward, and no matter who you are, you have touched somebody else who will bring what you have done to affect them and bring that forward. So I don't see us as dying. I don't think that as happening. I see the lessons that were brought forth by John McCain as us continuing and being a great example of how to live life, how to accept life, to say I've made those mistakes, but look how I feel I'm accomplished in what I've done. And so I can't tell you how many times he said, I feel good about what I've done. He's already always reflected back on that.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Time to take another break, isn't it? Yes, see that old eagle eye over there? I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, KHTS.
Lots of people can build websites, but there's one Santa Clarita company that specializes in designing websites for your business. Small Dog Creative. The Small Dog Creative team is made up of local designers who are hands-on. Their talented team of experts build premium websites and redefine branding. Small Dog Creative doesn't just build websites. They'll upgrade your business's online presence and turn your business into a powerful online brand. Small Dog Creative, Santa Clarita's most innovative web and design company. SmallDogCreative.com.
Consumers Furniture is inviting you to their pre-Labor Day tent sale. For Labor Day, we are offering 25% off your entire order. It's 25% off even on special orders. This is a true sale. We don't mark up merchandise to mark it down. Consumers Furniture has just received a truckload of mattresses at discount prices. Queen pillow top sets starting at $3.99. Come on down, you'll always find a deal at Consumers Furniture. We're located in the Center Point Parking Shopping Center below Sam's Club and Walmart.
City of Hope is a world leader in cancer research and treatment. And there's a City of Hope community practice location right here in Santa Clarita, eliminating a major barrier in the fight against cancer: distance to quality care. Santa Clarita benefits from City of Hope's compassionate care and renowned clinical expertise. Find out more at cityofhope.org/Santa Clarita or call 661-799-1999.
Hi, this is Dr. Palucki. If you want to get better results with less supplements, then listen to this. For convenient on-the-go nutrition, an excellent workout recovery, and an absolute must for any diet, you can't beat Dr. Palucki's Cleanse Support. And of course, we made it gluten-free, dairy-free, soy-free, with no artificial sweeteners, colors, or flavors. At only 70 calories per serving and packed with over 50 superfoods, this delicious shake will be the best thing you eat all day. Now available at drpalucki.com.
Now FM, 98.1 FM and AM 1220, your hometown station.
Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64?
Welcome back to the Senior Hour. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, KHTS. And we've been speaking with Dr. Mawa Kalani, a palliative care doctor. And we've covered a gamut of areas, haven't we? But do you have a team of doctors that's a regularly titled palliative care team?
Well, I would look at it as palliative providers, because I'm the only palliative care doctor at Holy Cross, but we also have nurses, palliative care nurses, who are specialty nurses in palliative care. I'm the palliative care physician. We have a chaplain who's pursuing her boards in palliative care. And we're finding that in our hospital at Providence Holy Cross that we've engrossed ourselves so well that we really welcome everybody into our team. Although we're the specialists, that's in air quotes there, we really want to teach those palliative principles to everybody. And in fact, we're starting a whole educational series next month, in a couple weeks, to teach all of our medical surgical nurses, telemetry nurses, oncology nurses about the principles of palliative care and how to provide that at the bedside, which is truly important.
Absolutely.
It's compassionate care. It's realistic care. Again, this is about looking at the person rather than looking at that person as a patient. So it's personhood, it's providing whole person care, and that's what our patients need. And so our educational staff at Holy Cross is very committed to palliative care, and the hospital in general is. It's a really big focus. And we really want to treat our patients as best as we can and provide them the right treatments to optimize their quality of life.
But it is a new philosophy and ideal that the medical profession has taken upon itself to allow patients, we talk always about quality of life, but to allow patients to move forward in life. And that before really didn't happen. When I started medicine almost 40 years ago, it just didn't happen. Now we are much more transparent. We have better communication, despite the sometimes doctors having 5 or 10 or only 15 minutes to see their patients. We do better. We do ideally and realistically, we do better. And I'm very happy about that.
Well, now, does Henry Mayo have a palliative care team?
They have the same programs because these have been set up throughout the United States.
I see.
But the philosophies are a little bit different, and that's why I just remind our patients to be mindful.
Every hospital. So in California, about 80% of our hospitals have a palliative care presence. In what degree that is fully embedded into the hospital really depends on the hospital. Some have very complete programs with social workers and chaplains and lots of providers. And there are others that just have a social worker or just a nurse. And to do this the best way, you have to have an interdisciplinary team so that you're really attending to every aspect of the person's
all the needs,
characters, right? All the needs. And so it varies. Every hospital's different. We have found that at our hospital, we have dedicated nurse and physician, but we've incorporated our social workers and chaplains, which I think dispels the principles farther and wider. But every team is different.
But, at least for our show today, we've distinguished for our listeners what it is and, how it might apply to you or your loved one.
Yes. And the services are available. And if the need arises, I would highly encourage those who are dealing with the serious illness to pursue some palliative care to help them through the crisis, to help attend to their personhood and help focus on quality.
And that would be through their local hospital.
Either through their local hospital or their physician, because the community palliative care has really grown quite a bit.
Yep.
Quite a bit. So there are lots of community providers now.
Interesting.
Well, great discussion, Dr. Kalani. We welcome you always to come back
Thank
to
you
our show. It gives so much education and insight into what medicine is doing right now, and for Providence Holy Cross to have someone like you and with such a wealth of information and understanding about those who are in palliative care and moving toward end-of-life care. That's so important that you're here to give them that care. We appreciate it. We are sponsored by Advanced Audiology and Comfort Keepers in-Home Care. Listen to us next week on the Senior Hour. Now go and enhance your quality of life.
Yes.